Hello, I'm Arthur Black. Welcome to Weird Homes, a show about the most unusual and bizarre homes in North America. Do you collect anything? Stamps, baseball cards, maybe China dolls? Most of us do at one time or another, and it's usually a passing phase. Usually, not always. I've found 3 extreme collectors whose homes are proof that once you start a collection, there's no telling where it's going to end up. Now, Arn, he's got a grotto for his collection. Ted's been collecting farm items for the past 40 years. And Milton's toy collection is the envy of every kid on his block. Let's take a look. Some of the most unusual people you'll meet are collectors. So it's not surprising that collectors often live in some decidedly unusual homes. For instance, behind these trees lurks the home of Milton Commissar. And Milton's obsession? Toys. And then there's Ted Christensen's home in Manitoba. It reveals his compulsion for farming, fishing, ranching. Ted likes just about anything, as long as it's old. Ted's collection covers his home both inside and out, so much so that his house looks more like a museum than a home. But whatever the obsession, every treasure has its tale. Take the home of Arn Gigliazza near Santa Cruz, California. For Arn, what matters is where he keeps his collection. In his case, in a cave. Collectors may chase after different things, but they all share a common characteristic. They just can't quit collecting.
Stuff comes, stuff goes. It's just stuff is what it is. And we make a lot of stuff in this world.
I just love, like I said, I love history, and it turns me on. Doesn't everything have a story?
Now, if Ted's collection could talk, what a story it would tell. As for Milton's home, that's a different story. Milton says that outside his fence, the world is pretty unpredictable. Ah, but inside. Inside, he can do whatever he wants, and he does.
Well, you think I'm a little wacky? You should just look around at my toys. They're even wackier. But anyway, welcome to my house and my wonderful collection. Now, what are we going to do now that we're all here? Should we play with some toys or make some silly noise?
Milton does have a serious side with a degree in philosophy and a master's in painting. But to him, life is all about composition, light, color, shape, not to mention fun.
I've been living in this house for 30 years, and when I bought it, it was just a complete wreck. And one day I went out and I bought a toy, and I didn't know why. And I brought it home, and then I decided, well, what am I going to do with it? So I put it over in the corner, and I thought it was nice. And then the next day I went out and got another toy. And before you know it, the whole house is loaded. And that's what you're looking at right now. So there's no rhyme or reason for any of this. It's just another person's obsession.
It's an obsession, all right, and a passionate one. But Arn Gigliazza, he takes a calmer view. For Arn, nothing could be finer than the view overlooking his olive grove in California. He remembers how his collection got started.
I was standing up on the bluff here one day looking out and thinking that it sure would be nice if we could find a cave up here, because there are a couple of real tiny caves on the other side of the hill. And sure enough, I saw this little black hole in there, and I thought, aha, there's a cave. So I went inside and I thought, well, I'll make a grotto. It was already there. It was dug out. I put a little statue that I bought at the Santa Cruz flea market, and I put put a little pedestal there, right next to a fern that was growing. I thought, well, there's my grotto. And then my older brother, gave me a couple boxes of abalone shells, and I put the abalone shells around the entrance to the cave, and I thought, gee, they look awful pretty in the sunlight. But it still seemed too bare, so just had to keep going and going and going.
The quest for any collector is to keep going. Ted's lifelong passion for history has kept him going. He's been collecting prairie artifacts around his Gimli, Manitoba homestead since the 30s. Mind you, Ted had to weather a bit of a rocky start with his first collection of over 200 bottles.
The wife had thought she was helping me clean out the shack and threw all the bottles in the garbage. They were the first bottles I collected. They went via the nuisance ground.
Ted worked as a commercial fisherman for 60 years, and when he retired, he kept on working as a collector. At Milton's House of Toys, even with thousands of items in his collection, a simple toy can still bring joy to Milton.
This is a Zuba tube, but I didn't bring you into this room to show you the Zuba tube. I brought you into this room to show you the front room of the house, which has a lot of little things in it. But the little things are not haphazard. They're all very, very organized. And the idea is not really just to see all the little things, but to see how they all come together around the edge of the room. So it's a little bit like a carousel. Look at this.
Milton may be a veteran collector now, but he still remembers the magic that got him hooked in the first place. Being a collector can be a lot of fun, but the challenge is to find a place for everything.
This is my desk, which you can see has been completely overwhelmed, except for one little area here, which I have managed, not quite, to sustain.
But how can he even find the switch for his stereo?
And I don't separate these tools from my toy collection. So they all fit together, and I try to do that through the whole house. If you, for example, go into the kitchen or the bathroom or the bedrooms, you will see that there are toys which are integrated into the house.
Well, that's one way to do it. Now, down in Santa Cruz at Arn's home, he's taken an entirely different approach to find room for his collection.
Well, here we are. This is the final descent. And there's the entrance, which is actually my favorite part. I like to stand up here and look into it. It's a view that I like. I like to look down there and say, hey, there's a nice, interesting place to go. Well, come on in. Let's go. Let's take a look. And when that bottle's empty, we got a barrel over here. I did think about using it as a wine cellar. It's perfect temperature, 58 degrees all year long. It never varies more than a couple of degrees, but I kept drinking the wine. I could never store it, so it never materialized. And besides, if I put cases of wine in here, then I wouldn't be able to see all this little pretty stuff, which is a good old Santa Cruz flea market. 50 cents here, $1 there.
Movie stars, religious icons, what else?
There's a few popes, Pope Pius XII. Pope John flew over this grotto. And I was in here working, nailing up some stuff, and I could hear the helicopters, and Pope John Paul II flew right over the grotto. It just keeps going and going, but it's a nice place to come in and sit and relax, drink a little wine. Wine is good for the heart, you know, but grappa is good for the soul. And the very best part of the grotto is that it's really quiet. It's nice and quiet. You can just come in here and relax and sit and think. And that's what I like best about it.
Arne's been an art history teacher for 35 years, and he's built a studio that not only contains his art, it displays his interest in collecting stuff. And his interest goes way back.
So, here we are in the workshop, the place where we make stuff. And when I'm not down in the grotto thinking about things, I'm up here puttering. I've collected just about everything you can think of over the years. I grew up during World War II. We were little kids. We collected stuff, you know. We collected string. We collected tin foil. People my age know what I'm talking about. We collected that stuff. We collected paper. We'd have paper drives. Government trucks would come in. We'd give them piles of newspapers. All our comic books, our great comic books, all went to the war effort. Rubber toys all went to the war effort. Tin. So we were just like little pack rats. You want a picture of my Auntie Dolly riding her Harley Davidson? We got pictures of my Auntie Dolly riding her Harley Davidson. I mean, what's life all about if you can't have some fun with it? There's a picture of my cousins over there. I found that at the flea market. I mean, mysterious things happen. I'm walking through the flea market and I look down. Here's a picture of my two cousins, her wedding picture. What are you gonna do? You can't leave it sit there. You gotta buy it. This one's kind of neat. You look inside there, and it's got the Lord's Prayer. See, hold it up to your eye, and you can read the Lord's Prayer. Can you see it in there? Let's see. Where was that bare spot?
But when it gets right down to Arne's personal preference, that would be his grotto.
People ask me if it's finished, and I think, not quite. I like to do the whole hill, actually. But my wife says, you're not going to do the whole hill. And of course, she's out of town today, so maybe I could start working on the hill. I got a couple abalone shells stashed. I could start inching my way up.
The entire hill? That's a major undertaking. I wonder what time his wife gets home. Most collectors restrict themselves to a particular collectible. Ted, he's not that fussy.
I didn't collect anything specific, just any damn thing I fell in love with it, you know. I got to have it, you know. Why? And there didn't seem to be any common sense to what I did, you know. Nothing is new in this world, you know. Even the written word isn't new. There's nothing new, actually. You know, people are saying there is nothing new. It was, who invented all these things? I have no idea. But it doesn't seem like anything is new.
Nothing that's new, but plenty that's old. Treasures that might have been trashed if it wasn't for Ted.
Some of that stuff in there, it's you know, it's just fascinating. To me, it's just fascinating. How well it was made, and I don't know. You fall in love with it just somehow. And the tobacco and cigarette tins, what turns me on is if they have the price on them, you know. A tin half pound of tobacco there is 55 cents. What is it today? Is it 10 or 12 or $15? I don't know. But this is, the cigarette habit has really jumped. I'm glad I quit smoking 25 years ago. That's engines from boats.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay.
They're all boat engines. Thank God we're not all made the same. And some people call this junk and some people call it treasures. To me, it's all treasures.
Oh.
No, it's not. It's from here. I get 2 barrels of oil a day.
Well, yeah, and how do you do that? There's got to be story behind that. How do you do that?
They don't, how come you don't believe me? Have I ever told you a lie before?
No, but you might have just told us your first one.
Ted may not pump much oil, but he knows how to pull a leg.
Most of the stuff I collected in western Manitoba. The ones that I got from Saskatchewan, Alberta, I found them in flea markets in Winnipeg, big flea markets.
Words of wisdom adorn Ted Christensen's weird home. Meanwhile, Milton the toy collector has a word for his dog Zero. Not that Zero cares one way or the other.
Well, this is my dog Zero. Zero, come here. Come over here. Get over here. Zero, sit. Sit. He doesn't mind. He's a fox terrier. Sit, Zero. See? Don't get a fox terrier. They don't mind. Sit.
Zero may not care for sitting, but Milton likes to kick back and enjoy the view over his Oakland neighborhood. Until it's time for dinner.
It was funny. Want a bean? Eat it. Good boy. The kitchen is truly a coming together of the toys and the practicalities of eating.
Well, I'm not sure about practical, but it must be a blast to get invited for dinner at Milton's home.
My friends love it, except my girlfriend who wants me to get rid of all of it. Wait, maybe we shouldn't bring that up. No, my friends love it. And every now and then they even bring toys for me.
His friends can bring toys, but they better not move any. Everything has its very specific place.
Who's been messing with my toys? This goes down here. For heaven's sakes. And when I find out, whoever did it is going to be in a lot of trouble.
With all this fun stuff, it would be hard not to get into trouble at Milton's house.
My daughter says, Dad, what am I going to do with all these toys when you're dead? That's her take on it. She's worried. Little does she know there's a gold mine here. Here is a wonderful... Now, who is that? I'm sure you all know who that is. Hi, diddly-dee, an actor's life for me. Okay, and this is from the 30s. This is actually a rather valuable toy. But all the toys here are not valuable. In fact, the idea for me is not how valuable they are, but how good a price I can get when I buy them. Because if you have to pay up, then you really haven't gotten anything special. But if you can really get it for less than what it's worth, then it has a really wonderful place in your psyche. And that may not be true of all collectors, but I think it probably is true of most of us. The thing about toys is they're all takeoffs on the adult world. For example, this is a little Jeep from the Second World War. This comes from a completely different time, and it's absolutely beautiful.
A gold mine for sure, but probably a king-size migraine if you had to take the inventory.
Well, you've now left my house and you are in my studio. I'm a sculptor working with light, and I'm going to show you a little bit of what my work looks like. So, I'll close this door.
Milton started his career as a painter before he became interested in creating sculptures. In the early 70s, he used one of the first computers to program light. And he's used this technology to construct joyful light sculptures that reflect yet another side of his personality. Milton says it best. There's really no rhyme or reason that explains a collector's obsession. Whether it's abalone shells, Batman dolls, or outboard motors, what drives all collectors is the endless quest. Their need to keep looking for that perfect something to add to their collection, just for the joy of it.
Well, this never is a part of a wider world. This belongs just to me.
I want it. I want to keep it. And I'm going to be like my brother. When I told him to spend some of his money, he's pretty tight. Well, I said, you can't take it with you, Hannes. Well, he said, if I can't take it, I'm not going. And I'm the same way. If I can't take this with me, I'm not going.
What I really want to do someday is I'm going to brick it in. I'm going to brick the entrance and then just let all the brush grow through. My wife said I should brick it from the inside.
Well, there's one thing I can't be accused of. I never collected more than one woman.
Listen, it's a typical issue. No woman could ever live here.
I think everybody should have a grotto. It's just hard to explain. Everybody should have a grotto. That's it. The end.
You know, I think Arn might be onto something there. Grappa in the grotto. Sounds great. I'm Arthur Black. I hope you enjoyed Weird Homes. See you next time.